Good morning, everyone. So here in Binghamton, where I am, it's around brunch time. So not breakfast and not lunch, but brunch time. I wish I was in Atlanta. And the question for you today, everyone, is how hungry are you? And how hungry are you for some really fine food? I know I appreciate fine food. This is Nurturing Big Ideas Today with Yvonne DiVita. And my Smart Woman conversation is with my special guest, Judith Service Montier. And I had to practice saying that because it's such a beautiful name. I did not want to get it wrong, Judith. Judith is the Chief Operating Officer of Chez Montier, and their little tagline, which is a little more elaborate than this, but it really struck me when I saw it, Judith, is that the gift of food in every bite really speaks to my soul. So Judith, welcome to the show. And tell us, I mean, everyone, this journey this woman went on is so fantastic. When Toby Bloomberg introduced us, and Toby was one of my first Smart Woman conversations, you remember, I was I think I did a little dance around my office, Judith, because I said, this is a woman that we really need to talk to. I want to hear your story. I want to hear about the business and how you left corporate and came to work with your husband in his existing food business. And, you know, when we talked earlier, Judith, you showed me something wonderful. You showed me a book. I don't know if you have it handy, but I was very impressed with that book, and I want to talk about that later too. But welcome. Tell me a little more about what you were before you became the Chief Operating Officer.
Well, first of all, good morning, Yvonne, and thank you so much for having me. It is really a delight and a pleasure to be here with you and with your audience, and to be part of this wonderful movement of sharing big ideas, empowering women, and bringing such great stories to the fore. So as you said, I am Chief Operating Officer for Chez Montier in partnership with my husband. Chez Montier is a boutique catering and event decor company. I say boutique because we're not necessarily for the masses. We really do a sophisticated blend of global flavor profiles. Wow. And when I say that, Juan, Chef Juan, is an architect and interior designer by training turned chef. So he approaches food through the lens of an artist. And while he has worked in the architecture and design field, I was a corporate communications and marketing executive. And we both have a deep passion for food. And we've always said that one day we were going to really join forces and take Chez Montier to the next level. Well, after working for several years in nonprofit and arts and entertainment, the time came and we looked at each other and said, okay, the clock is ticking. If not now, when? So it was really a huge leap of faith for me at this point in my life and my career for both of us to be entrepreneurs. I know for myself, for many years, I clung to the safety or the perceived safety of having a job and a regular paycheck and benefits. So the thought of giving that up to grow my own family business, while scary, was also tremendously exciting.
Well, Judith, as you're talking along, it's an architect. I mean, an architect, I'm thinking of that, and there's such creativity in being an architect, because you actually create things out of nothing and then build it with whatever's there. Years ago, a mentor of mine taught me the word bricoleur, and bricoleur is someone who takes whatever's there and makes something happen, instead of sitting back and saying, well, I can't do it. I don't have this. I don't have this. Well, never mind. Use what you have to make what you want. And, you know, I see that also in what you're describing as, Chez Montier's focus on food, and it's very exciting. So should we just throw out there that you worked with a big celebrity once?
I did work with a big celebrity. In fact, I worked for Diana Ross for a number of years. I was her right arm and left leg, and on the front line of everything that she did, from personal to professional. So it was a tremendously exciting, enriching time. I was a single woman living in New York, living La Vida Loca. And so it was a big move for me to leave her, but I got an opportunity in Atlanta to work with the Centennial Olympics, the Centennial Olympic Games, and that was just really leaving one dream job for another dream job. And fortunately and thankfully, we are still in communication to this day. In fact, I attended her 75th birthday party earlier this year, which was, that's another conversation.
Wow. Well, and this is exactly why I was so excited to have you on the show. Obviously, I didn't know that before we met, and we did get a chance to talk. But the reality is, as you said earlier, you left this perceived safety of a job. And I mean, I was talking to someone else recently, and we were thinking, is there a better word? Because job makes people think of drudgery. And so you left the safety net, and now you're working with your husband. And that, let's talk a little bit about that, because I worked, I am not presently, although we do share things, working with my husband, but I have in the past. And do people look at you and say, how do you do that?
All the time. And I get it. And it's interesting because now that we're doing it and we can really see the fruits of our shared efforts and our shared vision, we both go, gosh, why didn't we do this sooner? But, everything happens in its time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And although we think we could have done it sooner, it definitely requires a level of nuance and finesse to be able to work and live with your partner. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, we are very different. He's balloons in the air, and I'm feet on the ground.
Awesome.
And that's what Toby actually came up with after speaking with a number of our clients. And he describes me as the brains of the operation. I like to say he's the art and I'm the science. So what I did was bring some balance and infrastructure and processes to the business that he as an artist was not really able to do on his own.
I find that really important in the conversation, because so many women, and we'll say baby boomers and maybe some Gen Xers, but they think they have to go it alone. Yes. And while you don't have to make it your partner, the person you live with, your husband or your spouse or whatever, you can make a goal to work with someone. I always say, isn't there someone out there, a friend or a colleague or a relative, who is willing, if not to be a full business partner, at least to be an advisor? Does that make sense? I mean, because you said sometimes what we bring to our business is that art. And the art is something that we're so devoted to that we're not giving the attention to the science of the feet on the ground. So we need someone like you. And so when you say you came on board with him, it made me think, well, how do we get women to understand that they can find a partner, even if it isn't their husband?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a really, really good point. And I think that more and more, I know I'm very interested in collaboration. Mm-hmm. And I feel that a rising tide lifts all boats. So if we're doing something together and I'm successful, you're successful.
Yes.
And there, as entrepreneurs and small businesses, the ability to to share knowledge, to share resources, to share contacts is how we grow.
Yes, yes. And women especially are afraid to do that for whatever reason. And I want them to see by these conversations that there are women out there who are approachable. And again, it doesn't have to be, I want them to understand, for you having come on board with your husband, it was still a kind of a leap of faith for you. Even though the business was existing in there, your role in it was not going to be to make food. Your role was going to be different. So take the leap of faith, folks. And so when you did that, Judith, my gosh, how long was it before you started feeling comfortable and really getting up in the morning and being excited about your day?
It was several months. I'll be quite honest, because the first few months I would really just wake up hyperventilating. Okay, all right, we got. and he would look at me and say, "Judith, relax, calm down. We're not destitute." But I knew that if we were going to make a go of this, that we really had to do it. And we have very different work styles. So that was a huge adjustment for me. Fortunately, we have a separate space in our house, but my husband is very animated and he's very loud and he works very differently than I do.
Yes.
I'm used to being focused and working in a quiet space and not having the news on in the background. And it's different. And I remember early on talking to a good friend who knows us both. And I was saying that I was anxious about this. And she said, "You know what? Let him do him. And you do. Don't try to, especially after all of this time, don't try to make him operate the way you operate. You've got to let him be creative.
And you be you.
Exactly. And
because that's why you did it. I mean, that's why you came together, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. There are times when there are two people who are very artistic or whatever, and so they collaborate and they work together. But in the end, I would expect, if that were the case, then there's somebody they know doing your role, because I personally don't do your role. My husband is better at that. He's a recovering lawyer.
Oh gosh.
So we talk about that a lot, but he's in a totally different business now. But he has that kind of mindset, I think, that you do. He looks at that bigger picture. He is very artistic, I will tell you. I mean, he's much better at color than I am. So I will, in a picture or something, I'll be like, what color is the best color? I'm not colorblind. He is, but I'm just not good at that. He is. But then in the background, I think his lawyer training taught him to look at what needs to be done as opposed to doing what you love. Exactly. And they can work together. Yes? I mean, that's how it has to be.
And I see it all the time. Juan, when he is cooking and creating and sketching, he is so focused. But what I bring, so he's looking at what's in front of him right now. I'm looking at what's in front of us right now, what's happening tomorrow, what's happening next week, what's happening next month. And I'll come to him sometimes with something that's happening next month. And he's like, "Judith, please, I just can't handle your big brain right now."
Yes, I understand that so well. And I'm going to just I don't know. It's kind of a man thing also.
Yeah, it is.
It's
you heard that recently about a woman's mind is like a computer with, 2,000 browsers open, and a man's mind has, 2 browsers open. And that's how we operate.
I have had to learn that it's not a bad thing. I think early on it used to annoy the heck out of me, because I would be talking to him and his mind would be elsewhere, And later on, when I would bring up the conversation, he'd be like, I have no idea what? And I'm like, didn't you not hear me?
Exactly. I told you this already 3 times.
Yes, but so we need, whether it's men or women, we need to kind of learn to work. As you said, he's going to be him, and you're going to be you. And I think learning to accept those roles, not just in the business, but as people. So let's talk a little bit more about it, but then I want to go into how you separate your role as wife from your role as partner, because the big thing here, Judith, is you work in your home. That's what we did too. It's different when you get up and go to office and then you leave and go home. But first, this journey that you went on, you have the Olympics, Diana Ross, the amazing background you have from corporate, we'll say, from doing business outside of the home. I mean, I think you must be like 110 years old. How did you do all that?
I feel like that sometimes.
No. You look beautiful, so you're not 110.
Thank you very much. My mother just turned 81 a couple days
Holy
ago.
cow.
Absolutely gorgeous. She looks like she's 50.
Wow.
So that's a really good question. And I must be honest, I think I tend to not always do as well as I'd like to in terms of letting work go when I'm home. Because my mind is just always on to the next thing. And, what about this? And what's happening with this event? And did we order these rentals?
So you did that. I mean, you did that with your previous work, right? That's how your mind works.
In several, yes, that's how my mind works. I am very much looking at several things at one time. I'm an arranger. I'm a conductor. So I take great joy in bringing together disparate pieces and having them work in harmony and organizing them in a way that will produce the best outcome. And I will say when Chef Juan is working, he is all in. But when he's done, he's done. He kicks back, he relaxes, he rests. He does things that are harder for me to do because, again, I feel like I'm the engine, I'm the driver. And so I've always got to be on. I've always got to keep my foot on the gas.
Your brain is continuing to go,
yes,
right?
Yes. And I read something the other day that I actually printed out. It says, everything will work again if you unplug it for a while, even you.
Interesting. I think that's a good thing. People should put that up on a plaque.
Exactly.
That is exactly, I mean, wow. I need to learn that a little bit because I just sit at my desk every single day. Do I have to? No. But
no.
I kind of like it though. So we're doing what we like, Judith. So
but there's also, I think there's a huge benefit that we sometimes miss in realizing what happens when we step away for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
When we're working on something as women, or I know I kind of just keep going and going and going. And I realize, I know it from experience, I know it intellectually, but I don't always operate that way. That stepping away creates space for you to see things freshly and for you to bring fresh eyes and catch those typos and see that, oh my gosh, I'm missing this and I really needed to put that in there. So I think, if there's one thing I can say that I'm learning is to do that, is to take those breaks, to take those breaths, to step away, because they will fuel us to be more effective and more efficient.
Yeah, women, like you said about the tabs on the computer, my husband has more tabs though open than I do.
Really?
However, he is only concentrating on one of them at a time. Whereas when mine are open, I'm looking at them all. I'm just like, this one's open because I need it later. And so to your point, now my mind is thinking, I should close a bunch of those tabs because I can just open them later. And,
Exactly.
I tell myself that, but I don't do it. It's like, maybe I want it later this afternoon and it's already open, so I'll leave it there. I don't need to leave it there. It's a click. It's a click of the darn mouse, right?
That's right. And every
We need
time
to
you
learn
close a
that.
tab, think of it as creating a little space for yourself to breathe.
Yeah, I think that's helpful also because a very good friend of mine, Shauna Shu, we did a conversation a few months ago, and she is the owner of Women in the Pet Industry Network, and I had the privilege of being the Woman of the Year in 2015, which was such a great honor. And she is so energetic and such a go-getter and always doing things. And we talked about how memory for women of our age. So, I'm up there and over 60, we'll just say that, and kind of forgetful. And Shauna said, well, you know why? Because you got so much in your brain. You can't keep it all in there and, have it at the ready. You're going to forget things. So, geez, if we then learn to relax, we can create some space there for the new things we have to put there. You just taught me that. You are fantastic. I hope everybody watching got this.
I said, we're teaching each other.
Well, yes. And so the other thing that really, so separating your role as wife from your role as chief operating officer, because you're in the house, in the office, and your husband is there. So to what we're talking, is there a cutoff? Like 6 o'clock is the cutoff. We're not doing anything after that except relaxing.
Somewhat for him, not so much for me, because I'm a night owl, so I tend to get a second wind in the evening, and I actually like to work when the house is quiet, when he's gone to sleep, when my son's gone to sleep. I feel that I'm able to, get more things. I take a break for dinner. I will take a break, and at some point, usually by 9 o'clock, I'm okay. Put the computer down, but it's still something that I'm working on.
It is hard in that sense. I actually do step away. I do. I step away. I feel guilty. So this is the problem, is I feel guilty because I'm not checking email every 5 minutes. I literally wait till the next morning to check email. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, I should have looked at this last night because there's something important there. But in the end, I tell people exactly what you're saying, is develop your own schedule and your own routine. And people will then learn that is when so people will learn that I don't check email after 3 o'clock. People will learn, and that's how it works. You can be flexible. No one's saying this is written in stone, and if you step out, you're going to die. But I think your routine. Mine is in the morning. So when I get up, I get my coffee. I don't have to drive to work and battle traffic, thank goodness. Come to my office and I'm here until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I take a break, I get more coffee, I have lunch, but that's my routine. And I need to stop feeling guilty when I go relax. But
That's
I
right.
do.
There will always be something else to do. There will always be something else to do.
Well, let's talk before we go. We're getting towards the end, but before we go, let's talk a little bit about the food, about exactly what you do and some of the catering. And can you show us the book I mentioned earlier? Do you have it on hand? Tell us about that. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful, that book.
So Juan, because of his architectural background, sketches and draws very, very well. So one of the things that he started doing for our clients was sketching food. It's part of his vocabulary and how he speaks. So this is a little book that we put together. It's called Designing the Gift of Food. And on the cover is a sketch of a meal that we did for one of our pop-up dinners. But that's a part of his process. He actually
Wow.
concepts the food, he sketches it, and then he brings it to life. And people have always are so fascinated whenever I show them pictures of the sketches, and they go, "My gosh, this is so unusual," because a lot of chefs, of course, will write out their menus,
Mhm.
but he writes and sketches. And so I decided to take these sketches and put them together in this little coffee table book. It was really intended to be a marketing tool and a client premium. And then people started asking if they could buy it. So
I can see why.
yeah,
It's such a wonderful idea for a gift. We all love food, number one.
exactly.
I think because of Instagram, we are starting to appreciate food in the sense of when people are out and they take pictures of food at a restaurant, for instance. There was all the joking about it. Who cares about what you're having for lunch? Well, when it's so beautiful the way your husband does it, it becomes art in its own way. But it also, for me, when I see those pictures, I begin to appreciate the food that is being displayed on the page and the effort that he put into it to create not just the sketch and the food, but it's clear. It's clear when I see that, it's clear to me that his love of food and his creative abilities in architecture have the ability to bring forth to the average person a love of food, good food, good food. I want to get that in there. It's not just
Oh
food.
yeah,
I
no,
want to make sure we're
it's really
talking.
special food, and part of
Yes.
the food philosophy, and he says this all the time, Yvonne, is that food should be as beautiful as it is delicious. Why? Because your eyes eat before your mouth does. So,
That's perfect.
and that is why Instagram and Pinterest has become so popular, because we have that visual, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. But how many times have you seen something that you thought looked amazing and you tasted it and it didn't deliver?
Yes. Yes.
So that for us is like, it cannot look good and not taste fantastic or even better than it looks. So we really pride ourselves on delivering. We follow through. If something looks beautiful, if you taste that deviled egg with the house smoked salmon and the trout caviar on top of it, your eyes are going to roll back into your head.
I believe it. I
It
believe it.
looks amazing, but it tastes incredible. If you taste this roasted ginger carrot soup with some confit on it, you're going to lose your mind. And so we really enjoy that delivery, and our clients, which we list several of in the back of the book. We've done breakfast for Tiffany's, done breakfast at Tiffany's. We were fortunate enough this past year to be one of the vendors for the Super Bowl, which was a huge leap for us, and definitely not something that would have happened had I not come on board to really take the business to
Sure.
the next level. And he's so
Sure.
grateful. I mean, look at this guy. Is that a picture
I know. Every time I see Toby
of a
share
happy, grateful
on
man?
Twitter, I'm so, it's like maybe we just need to move to Atlanta because this
Montana.
looks so wonderful. I have to have some. Well, Judith, this has been really phenomenal because your story and your journey are so important for other women to understand. They can take the leap of faith. They can be afraid a little bit, because once you immerse yourself as you have and bring in the talent that is inherent in yourself to what you want, you will be happy with it.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Well, Judith, we're going to do this again, and maybe everyone will sneak
Chef Juan on with us.
Chef Juan on. Maybe that will happen. And oh gosh, if we could just do like a food tasting Oh gosh, I
Ooh,
gotta come and visit you
that
people.
could happen. That could
It could
absolutely
happen. You're right. We could make it happen. So
yes.
in the meantime, thank you so much, Judith.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed being with you today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, this is Yvonne DiVita, Smart Woman Conversations with Judith Service Montier. And Judith, eat something good and share it on Pinterest. I want to see it
I
today.
will. I will. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.